After 4 years in high school as a starting quarterback, Brandon Billings stood with 0 college scholarship offers and still wanted to continue playing football. After winning 2 Pennsylvania state championships, Brandon truly believed he belonged on a D1 level. A couple schools showed interest in Brandon as a walk-on, but he wanted a chance to compete in his first season as a starting quarterback. The second string role opened up on Maryland, and Brandon Billings found this to be the easiest choice by far to compete to be a starter. Being the backup quarterback, Brandon Billings had to earn his coach's trust and also outwork the quarterback one in practice. In our first practice, we just wanted to show we belong, do nothing crazy, and just throw some good dots across the middle here. Brandon Billings breaking sacks, hitting throws over the middle. It was definitely a successful first practice. In our first game of the season against James Madison, we are losing 31-0, and all I could do is hold the field goals and just watch. After starting off the season 0-1 after a blowout loss, all I could do is perform well in practice and hopefully have a chance at a position battle in the future to take that quarterback one role. After probably having our best week of practice, we do take on Old Dominion in game number 2, and we are looking for our first win of the season. So it seems our only play time on the field is going to be holding field goals until we can earn the quarterback one role, but we do catch our first dub playing Old Dominion 35-21. Despite winning in week 2, our coach had enough trust in me from practice and hard work to compete for that starting quarterback role for week number 3. We have been training all offseason, all summer long for this chance right here, and we did not want to rue it. Brandon Billings was looking amazing, throwing dots over the middle, hitting every single wide open wide receiver. After a great performance, our coach thought we did enough to earn the quarterback one role, and we'll have our first start next weekend. Our first game as a starter, we'll be taking on the Charlotte 49ers, and we'll look to take our first dub as a collegiate starter. The coach's game plan wanted to start with a lot of runs to ease Brandon Billings into the starting quarterback role and then open it up with a big shot later in the game, but we started off pretty nicely. After earning a first down, we do go for our first drop back, and we get sacked on our first ever pass attempt. The next play, we went to play action, and we are looking for everybody, and no one is open, and we get hit again. This is a rough start. Our coach is showing minimal trust in us, and he calls a halfback draw on a 3rd and 19. After a horrible first drive, we wanted to show that we could still pass the ball here, and we started to heat up on the second drive. We are hitting players over the middle. Our running back, Brown, took it for 20 yards. We even got ourselves inside the 5-yard line here, and we're looking for our first score. Our coach still didn't have full trust in us, so we ran the ball on 1st and goal, and we got the easiest touchdown of the game. As we started to heat up later in the game, we were starting to get more passing plays called our way. We were hitting dots over the middle. Even on this deep bomb down the sideline before the end of the half, we throw a big touchdown, our first passing touchdown. This game ended up being a blowout. Brandon Billings dominated in his first start, throwing multiple touchdowns, even going across the field on another large pass like this, even dominating over the middle like earlier in the game. We ended up getting benched for the backups. In our first career start as a collegiate quarterback, Brandon Billings dominates with 2 touchdowns and in a blowout fashion. Couldn't get too comfortable because in week 2, we are playing West Virginia, who should be a much better matchup for us. Our coach did mention in the game plan he wanted to turn us into a dual threat quarterback, and he'd give us a lot more read option style plays. We wanted to have a much better first drive than we did in our first game of the season, so starting off, we are hitting a lot of quick throws over the middle, and on a broken screenplay, we scramble for our first rushing touchdown of the season. Our defense got to stop, but we know against West Virginia, we have to play much better and get points every single possession. We're starting off in that scrambling style of offense, and we are moving the ball pretty well. Later in the possession, we slip on the wet grass, and Brandon Billings takes a hard hit in the backfield and is down on the field holding his left leg in pain. Later back in the second quarter, Brandon Billings would make his return back to the field, hitting a wide receiver for a post route. We thought we had a wide open touchdown, but Jones ended up getting hawked down, but still a big gain. Still shaking off the injury, Brandon Billings is still feeling himself in the air. His leg is not affecting him at all as we lead ourselves to our second touchdown of the game. Very easy drive. Our defense gave us a chance with 16 seconds left before the half. We hit Felton over the middle for a seam shot, and on the right side of the field, Rakeem Jarrett is wide open for our 3rd touchdown of the game. Despite the huge lead at halftime, the West Virginia Mountaineers made a huge comeback and tied the game in the 4th quarter, but we have perhaps our best play of the season, breaking a sack and throwing a dot to our running back for 20+ yards. Later in the money drive, we would just hand it off to our running back and he would punch it in, and that would cap off our 3rd win of the season, looking to carry the win streak to 4 next week. After now being 2-0 as a starter, Brandon Billings is starting to feel himself as a starting quarterback and definitely feel like he belongs. He earns the veteran starting role and now can flip his plays to the line of scrimmage. We have back-to-back tough games, but we are playing a Florida State Seminole team that is sitting at 2-2, currently struggling. I knew this was going to be the best defense heading into this game that we have played yet, and we are making awful reads to start off the game. We need to be better than this. Starting off, we had a lot of bad passing plays, so we wanted to get involved in another way. On a broken screenplay, we took it up the middle for 20 20+ yards and took a slide before a hit stick came. We had to show off our legs and versatility a lot this game, scrambling out the pocket to hit our wide receiver right up the middle. And on the next play, we take a read option all the way and fall forward for our second rushing touchdown of the season. Later in the game, we would get the ball back and they were starting to lock in on us on the read option plays. They were hitting us every single play. We were taking a beating. With a tied game before halftime, we find our wide receiver wide open over the middle, but they clap right back with another sack. They might break the sack record this game against us. After the sack, we got a couple more yards to get us in field goal range to take a 3-point lead heading into halftime. Deep in the third quarter, we are looking to build on our lead and take a 2-possession lead in this game right here. Our defense has been holding the opponent under 10 points all game, and we capitalized with another touchdown. Our defense, once again with another stop, allows us to get a big scramble on the next drive where we get inside of the 10-yard line, and then we cap off the drive with a dot to the right side of the end zone to take a huge lead and coast to a W. After now being 3-0 and dominating in all 3 appearances, Brandon Billings is becoming one of the best up-and-coming quarterbacks in college football as he dominates with a 300+ yard game and 3 touchdowns. It seems the more games we play, the more tough the competition gets as Brandon Billings dominates. He is now playing his first ranked opponent, the number 21 Virginia Cavaliers. Once again, knowing we are playing a great opponent, we had to do everything we could to score points every single possession, and we are on the ground moving, getting a lot of scrambling yards in the first possession. Later in that same drive, we are scrambling, trying to get this throwaway, and Brandon Billings takes a big hit and once again laying down on the turf. We'd later come back in the game, but throw our first collegiate pick on the first play back after our injury, and man, that one hurts. Trailing after the injury and also after the interception, we want to take this lead back, and we hit our tight end right over the middle for a nice 7 points. Our defense gives us another chance before halftime, and we are hitting our wide receiver right over the middle, and then on the next play, we are scrambling to the right, throwing one of the riskiest balls we've thrown all season, and completing it for our 3rd touchdown of the game. Although Virginia kept on fighting right back, we got a rushing touchdown right here. We got to stop, and Brandon Billings is going to find a wide open Raheem Jarrett behind the defense to put the dagger touchdown in this game. After playing our first ranked opponent, Brandon Billings rose to the occasion and threw for over 380 yards with 3 touchdowns alongside. We would coast to an easy game against Wake Forest, going up to 6 wins on the season, and Brandon Billings had his highest competition up next, playing the red-hot number 8 ranked Clemson Tigers. Our offense scored immediately to start this game, and we are taking sack after sack after sack. In our 3rd sack in a row, Brandon Billings is down for the count. We did miss a couple drives, but Brandon Billings came back in red hot, hitting Raheem Jarrett up the seam, and then hitting Raheem Jarrett once again for a wide open touchdown. Our defense ended up taking over this game and getting us good field position, and we're going to take a read option into the goal line, and then we're going to throw a slant over the middle to take a huge 2-possession lead. We knew this Clemson team was never going to back down, and they scored a touchdown, and then next up got a red zone interception against me. I truly don't know what I would do without this bailout defense and Raheem Jarrett scoring easy touchdowns for us and carrying us to a win. We now have beaten multiple ranked opponents. Brandon Billings wants to see our team in the AP top 25 after this week. He has dominated once again with 363 yards and 3 touchdowns. Now, after being 7-1, the Maryland Terrapins found themselves at number 16 ranked in the top 25, and this has been a huge turnaround for the walk-on quarterback. In our next game, we would make easy work of the 2-6 Syracuse team, but then the next game we would play Virginia Tech, where we started off actually very hot with 2 easy startable touchdowns. Later in the game, we would make the wrong read on a read option, and we would pay for it, and Brandon Billings is once again hurt, but I think this one is way more serious than his previous injuries. Billings would never return to the game, and we end up taking our first loss of our starting career. We took a bad loss with Brandon Billings' injury as well to Boston College, but we will be making our return to a snow game against North Carolina State. After missing a game and a half, Brandon Billings wanted to come out slinging, and he is throwing a lot of good passes to move the ball down the field. Despite missing playing time due to injuries, Brandon Billings looks like he hasn't lost a step, hitting an easy touchdown on the first drive of the game. Our defense got to stop, but I am forcing a terrible corner route, and it gets intercepted for our 3rd interception of the season. Despite an awful interception, our defense gets us great field possession, and we are going to capitalize with an easy touchdown to the left side to take a 14-point lead. We want to keep being powerful on offense. We're going to take a read option, break a tackle. The snow is definitely keeping us down in our speed. We're slipping all over the place, but still a huge gain. Our offense has been great so far. We're going to scramble later in this drive and throw a backside slant to score our 3rd touchdown of the game. We only had a little bit time left on the clock before the half. We take a bad sack, hurry up everyone back to the line because we have no timeouts, and we're running the same play back, and we take a shot at the end zone, and our wide receiver is going to end up scoring. We take a huge lead before half. North Carolina State would never be able to recover from that huge halftime lead, and Brandon Billings would have a great game with 482 yards and 5 total touchdowns. Although we had 3 losses on the season, we would still meet the number 12 ranked Miami Hurricanes in the ACC Championship, and this should be a great game. We wanted to get points up on the first drive, starting off with a short pass right here, but they kept playing great defense, hitting the quarterback almost every single play, and we go 3-and-out and have to punt. We have to shake off those big play jitters after that first drive being brutally bad. We are starting off with a scramble on this next drive. We are picking up a lot of yards, even off broken plays. We are trying to get out the pocket a lot due to their great defensive line. We're going to find a wide open corner out for our first touchdown. Miami is scoring at will on offense. We have to keep up on our side of the ball. We are having another great drive where we're getting our legs active. Breaking tackles are going to slide in bounds here. Trying to punch in our second touchdown. We are going to have a broken pocket here. We're going to scramble to the right side. Our speed and stamina seem not to be enough. We're going to get caught from behind, and Brandon Billings is once again down, and I can already hear the fraud chants. Brandon Billings being down, Maryland stood no chance without their starting quarterback, and Miami had a huge win and cruised all the way to the victory line. Although we had an awful ending to the season, a lot of losing games, we still got invited to a bowl game where we'll be facing the number 17 ranked Michigan Wolverines in the Duke Mayo Bowl game. We did receive the ball first, and we're going to hit a huge strike down the middle to start off the opening drive, and then we're going to find a wide open receiver in the back of the end zone to start off the game 7-0. On the next offensive drive, we found ourselves in a crucial 4th and 3, and we deliver a strike over the middle, but on the next play, we scramble to the right, throw across our body, and throw a terrible, crucial interception. It's now a tied game at 7 apiece. We are looking to score on offense, and we're going to hit our wide receiver on a deep post route, and on the next play, we have our craziest play of the season, shedding off a sack attempt, running to the outside, following a couple blockers on the sideline, and getting our scrambling touchdown to take a lead. Our kickoff team recovers a fumble, and we are in great field possession, trying to punch in a power O, but on the next play, we have to deliver a strike to our wide receiver on a low ball, and we take a huge double possession lead. With our defense carrying us, we get the ball back up 21-7. We're going to deliver another strike to Jarrett, and we are looking to take another deep ball right here, but we throw our second interception of the game. We are getting way too greedy. With Michigan crawling back, we have to deliver another dagger over the middle. Raheem Jarrett has been carrying us all season long, and he does it once again with a huge touchdown. It seems Michigan is scoring every single possession on offense, so we have to go and deliver another touchdown. I'm surprised our coach is calling offensive running plays for our quarterback, despite all our injuries all year long. After picking up that first down, we are going to deliver a strike on the left side of the field with a corner route and take a huge 14-point lead in the fourth quarter. Now Michigan has tied the game after we fumbled the ball on a kickoff return. They get their payback. We are throwing very questionable reads. We still have all 3 of our timeouts left with under a minute remaining. We're going to dump it to our running back who picks up a good 12 yards. We find ourselves in a long 3rd and 20 with 30 seconds remaining. We're going to deliver a strike over the middle. And is that enough? No, we are going to be 4th and inches. With the ball on the line, we take a read option on the 4th and inches call, and we're going to break a tackle, cut it to the outside, and have a wide open lane to score a touchdown with only 18 seconds remaining. That's how Brandon Billings went from a walk-on quarterback to winning himself a bowl game. In the next season, we'll be pushing for that Heisman and also looking for that college football playoffs. If you guys have made it this far in the video, make sure you hit that subscribe.